You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. Woof! So just how well do you speak dog? Now, are you 100% sure to approach a dog wagging his tail? Now, and oh my gosh, if your dog did get sprayed by a skunk, whoo, should you reach for tomato juice? And what actually are gossip hounds? Is this a new breed of dog? You know, we got a lot of questions here, but fortunately we have the Canine Answer Man on our show, and he has written a new book aptly called How to Speak Dog, a guide to decoding dog language. I want you all to give a big pause and applause to one of dog's best friends, veterinarian and president of the San Diego Humane Society, and a good friend of mine, Dr. Gary Weitzman. And welcome to the show, Dr. Gary.
Thank you, Arden. Really so happy to be here talking to you. I said because all those being the answer person, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think you can handle it, though. I think you can handle it.
Okay.
You know, folks, this man has done a lot of good for many, many dogs and cats and other critters coast to coast. And I just didn't even know when he had found time to write a book. And I pawed through the pages last night, and I have a lot of them thumb-tagged, so we're going to have some fun on this show.
Okay.
We have to pay for the show.
Good.
You know how that goes, right, Dr. Gary? We have to pay for this show.
I do.
So everybody, sit and stay. We'll be right back after we take this commercial break.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guest today is veterinarian Gary Weitzman. He is the president of the San Diego Humane Society and author of a book I just thoroughly enjoy. I actually pawed through the pages with it last night with my 2, Chipper and Cleo. The book's called How to Speak Dog, a guide to decoding dog language. It's published by National Geographic, and you got to give a little shout out, Dr. Gary. You had a co-author,
Definitely.
Eileen Alexander Newman. Wow, that's a big name.
Aileen Newman. It is a big name. Yeah, she's a great educator. She's been working with Nat Geo for years, and this is just one of our first collaborations together, and she was an absolute pleasure and an incredible researcher and writer.
Well, I looked at the back. Oh, my gosh, you got a pup posse. I'm looking at all the people behind the scenes from National Geographic Society that had a paw in making this book. And folks, This is a great book from many, many aspects. I like the design, the layout. It's very beckoning. And there's some, I call them Hey Mabels, Dr. Gary, like,
Hey
Mabel.
What is that?
Did you know that? That's called a Hey Mabel.
That's
you
cool.
sit over the fence and go, Hey Mabel. So let's get right into it. Hey Mabel, Dr. Gary, why am I not using tomato juice on a skunk sprayed dog? That blew my mind.
Oh, it's so funny to talk to you about that because I know, Arden, that you know all these answers.
Oh,
But,
don't
it is funny. How many people think that? You and I hear it all the time. Let's go get some. I mean, what are we trying to do? Make Bloody Marys out of our dogs after they get skunked? And it never happens. It's only at 2:00 in the morning, right? So, first of all, who's got tomato juice? And secondly, who wants to start dealing with that at 2:00 in the morning? So there's stuff out there that you can buy that makes it very easy with some, mixed results. And we all know the names of them, Skunk Off, and there's things like, all sorts of different things at Petco and PetSmart and other pet stores. But, the best thing to use, I've found, and Arden, have you ever had to deal with this? Did any of your animals ever get skunked?
No, I am so fortunate. Now, after the show today,
lucky.
I think Chipper, my 60-pound husky golden retriever, is going, I think I'm going to get into a little skunk off.
Oh, it's so funny. A couple of nights ago, I was sitting outside with my dogs. It was dark. It was about 11 o'clock, and I heard some noise. Thought it was a kid on the street coming up the street. And then all of a sudden, marching right around onto my sidewalk and then right up to the front door where I was sitting, I mean, my two dogs were with me, was Pepe Le Pew. And all I thought was, okay, I know what the recipe is, but I don't want to do it. So we just slowly backed away. But the recipe is easy. It's peroxide lemon juice, and I always say Dawn dishwashing detergent, but probably any dishwashing detergent can work. But Dawn's been known to be incredibly effective at this. And we even use it a lot in rescues of seabirds, who have been trapped in oil. But that's probably the best recipe.
I think you had a dash of baking soda, too, I believe.
Oh, and baking soda, right, and baking soda, too, because, yes, you need something to neutralize the acid of the lemon. Those are the best 4 ingredients you can have on hand. I would say the proportions can be a little funny sometimes, but if you can't remember them, then equal parts of all 4 is absolutely fine.
So let's just run it down because we don't want America stinking up the airways. So, folks, he's mentioning hydrogen peroxide, lemon juice, kind of Dawn dishwater soap, and baking soda. Now, this is not a recipe or permission for you to go have your dogs be looking for skunks, right? But, life happens.
No, don't test it. Don't test the recipe. And actually, now that I think about it, did I actually add lemon juice to this thing? It doesn't need lemon juice.
Well, yeah, you did, and I was like,
Mary.
But you got the DBM under after your name. But it's a triple trio: hydrogen peroxide.
I'm probably thinking of a cocktail party more than that. Yeah.
Okay,
so
everybody.
Just stick with Dawn.
Party at Dr. Gary's house after the show.
There you go.
No, it's hydrogen peroxide, Dawn dishwater soap, and baking soda. Let's make sure. But
that's it.
Let's get into, you do many things. I love listening to your radio show. We do have to give a shout out to that, to the Animal House. I'm laughing because of the poor kitty that is suffering from PTSD because of a kitchen blender. You dealt with that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit
really
about...
It's really amazing, though, isn't it, how much they do suffer, these poor guys.
And
a lot of it comes from misunderstanding, and us not understanding them not understanding us, and our gestures and our what we do, and that's what the book is about.
I know this book is all about dog, but you know about a lot of different species. So let's back up the bus. How did you get approached by National Geographic Society to author this book?
Well, I've actually worked with Nat Geo a number of times when I was in Washington, D.C., because I ran the shelter out there and had the Animal House radio show. So they contacted me thinking maybe I could offer something of value. And I started with a book a couple of years ago, just really like 2 years ago, called Everything Dogs. And then this one came up as an idea last year, How to Speak Dog. We're going to follow up with How to Speak Cat in a few months, I hope. But it just came out of a natural sort of evolution from the radio show, because so much in the 5 years we've done the public radio show, a lot of the same questions come up, but more than that, the same themes come up, that people misunderstand what their dog is saying, what their dog wants. And, the whole key is really to have a better understanding. We wanted this book to be kind of like taking the Rosetta Stone class in, Dog 101. So a lot of it people will know, and a lot of it will still make people wonder, wow, why didn't I know that before? Arden, it's really funny. You know us at the Humane Society pretty well, and you're an incredible friend to us here at the Humane Society. We have a big, big, big staff, almost 300 people. They're trained professionals in so many different areas, from behavior to veterinary medicine to animal caretaking. And I pass the manuscripts out to nearly everybody so that we could actually get some feedback on, am I off the wall on some of my thoughts here? Is there a better way to do something? And, every one of us got something out of the book. So what started off as a book for kids ended up morphing into something that I think is far more than that.
It is actually a book for the kid and all of us. And, you know, you had such refreshing comparisons, analogies, examples, and the way the book is put together, and that's a salute to all the behind-the-sceners. You can just grab any page and you're taking quizzes and tests. But the one thing I think that is really refreshing is when you were speaking about body talk, you said, you know what? Why don't you think of, you know, dogs as actors? And when you're watching TV next time, just purposely put the mute button on and try to determine what the actors are doing by their body language. That was such a great comparison. So can you flesh that out a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, I marvel at them. I mean, I love these creatures. They're just the most perfect thing, I think, that was ever made in every way. I mean, yeah, there's problems understanding what they want, and they misbehave just like we do. But, hey, they don't start wars, you know, and they don't do things like that. But I think for me, what's so cool is how much they get out of absolute silence. My dogs know what my mood is before I even figured it out. And that, you know, I'll be driving, they'll know that if I'm in a good mood on my way to work. Of course, I have to be in a good mood going to the Humane Society, but if I'm not, or there's traffic on the 805 or something like that, then they know. It's just amazing what they can pick up silently. And then the other side of that, and you and I both know this, we can look at them and know a whole lot about what is going on in their heads. A whole lot. We know if they're happy, we know if they're stressed, we know if they want something. You know, they're not masters of subtlety in a lot of ways, right?
No, I think canines put the C in candid, you know, and you do have a nice, I love the doggy demeanor section. It's kind of in the back end, listeners. And I'm just going to be bold. I forgot to ask you, please, Dr. Gary, is there any way we can give a couple of these books autographed in a way, and we'll dash out to a couple of winners? Would you guys be willing to pony that up?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll put it in my newsletter too, the Ardmore Knows Pets. So when we get the winners' names, we'll work with your people and give them the person's name and their dog's name, and maybe some of the kind folks at National Geographic can dash off a couple of signed books to these lucky winners, and we'll name the winners and all that.
Of course.
Okay,
and
but anyway,
help their dogs.
But the doggy demeanors section in the back, I mean, you're really, really helping people out, figuring out calm and relaxed from aggressive, from curious. You know, it goes on, but I think you nailed something right there. Dogs they're very candid. It's just sometimes we're human and we're tripping up on the communication signals.
Oh, yeah. Don't we all the time between ourselves and with animals and with the entire world? Let's not even start with how we deal with cats and how we misunderstand what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, you hear all the time. I do all the time on the radio and as well as in clinics, you know, that my cat is mad at me or my dog is getting even with me for bringing out my suitcase. They don't do that. People do that. You have to realize what their motivation is. And it's really to have the relationship that they really were promised by us. And that's really what the book's about. It's how to recognize what their needs are, how to make them work with our needs. And then, you know, there's one thing in the etiquette part you just brought up, you know, how not to be rude. Because there's things that we had no idea that we're doing that dogs perceive as rude. I mean,
let's go with the hug. Yeah, let's go with the bear hug. It's unbearable for dogs, right? Unless they really, really...
It's unbearable for me not to do a bear hug on my dogs. So how do you reconcile those two issues? But yeah, you're right. In some dogs, and probably generically, all dogs do not like to be hugged or smothered or like that. They do not. They lose control. They don't like to have their legs restricted. Dogs don't like to have their paws touched naturally. Now, some dogs, of course, get used to it and are very good with it. Some dogs will let everybody hug them. They're very good with it. But naturally, that's not their comfort zone. You know, they'd much rather that we lay down next to them or at the sofa for them to come sit with us and watch Breaking Bad or whatever we're watching on TV. But, yeah, that's it. Or dog TV. We can shout out to them. But no, they don't really want to be hugged and smothered, but they'll do it because they love us and they get used to it. And I'm really thankful they do because I love hugging dogs. But you have to realize you're going to teach the kids not to do it.
You've got to wait for them to give you the permission and that you have a trust build up. I think two dogs that get great hugs answer to the name of Jake and Betty. I love this dog's name.
Yeah.
Betty, what's the last name?
Betty Crocker, of course. What other Betty could there be? Betty Grable, I guess. There's probably a few others. But, yeah, we named Betty Crocker that because she was used in our humane education programs in Washington, D.C. to help get kids in the inner schools, used to and comfortable with pit bulls. And Betty's the sweetest. Arden, you've met her. Betty's the sweetest dog on earth, and she's a great ambassador for the pit bull breed. But that's my two kids, and they're a handful, and every day of my life is better because I have them.
I call pit bulls, I have a nickname, I call them meaty cheeks, because when they smile, they got the biggest meaty cheeks.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to be dandy dogs, right?
Definitely. Yes, they did. They have quite a history with us, and there's an incredible bond between humankind and pit bulls. And it's unfortunate the way things have turned on them, and it's our fault. Mm-hmm. So, and that most of our challenges in animal sheltering are because of the bully breeds, and there's too many that are being relinquished and not raised well, and not raised with the love and kindness that they deserve, and also with cats, of course. So those are the two breeds that we're the most challenged with.
We're speaking with Dr. Gary Weitzman. He is the president of the San Diego Humane Society. He's also a veterinarian, and he's also a radio show host of the Animal House. And let me take another breath. He has co-authored a great new book called How to Speak Dog, A Guide to Decoding Dog Language. And we are fortunate enough, listeners, that he's given away not one, but 2 autographed copies. So I want you to send an email to Arden at 4-Legged Life, and we will pick the 25th and 100th email and send us your details, and we will dash them out to the good people at National Geographic who produced this book, and you will get his autograph and have it personalized, and we'll get more details on that. But the clue you need to tell me is you have to say "speak dog" in the subject header, and we will get all that information to Dr. Gary. We're going to be talking more to him about this book and life at the San Diego Humane Society, but we've got to take a quick break. So sit, stay good, listeners. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. All Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ed Woods, the Swampman on Nat Geo Wild. You're listening to Arden Moore on O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to O Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Dr. Gary Weitzman is in the house. Yeah. And I'm very excited
to hear. Oh, you did not do that.
Anyway, he not only wrote this book with Aileen Alexander Newman, but for all you feline fans out there, be patient. How to Speak Cat is in the works. And I don't think you've met my cat Ziki yet, Dr. Gary, but I think you know her backstory. And she's the country's only pet first aid feline instructor. Mm-hmm. And she just became certified by the former Delta Society, which is now called Pet Partners. And I need to work with you because she wants to go to schools and some VA hospitals because she survived a knifing. And we want to help out the wounded warriors. And this cat will go anywhere, meet anyone, any dog, any cat, as long as you have turkey.
Oh, there you go.
That's her currency.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope you get a chance to meet her, but she's actually dashing to North Carolina with me later this month. I'm giving the keynote speak on perfecting the art of reinvention for the Pet Sitters International, and Ziki has kind of a following. So she's just telling you, if you need any insights into the feline mystique, if you bring some turkey, she might help you with your book.
Oh, that sounds great. We'll put her right in it. I probably would love to have her story go into the book.
It's an amazing story. The fine folks in Dallas, after someone had skinned her, a little old lady named Edwina, on a fixed income, gave $1,000 to the veterinary clinic to help save her life. And she went through hydrotherapy, everything. And the backstory is we were trying to find who this Edwina was after I adopted her. And I worked with my veterinarians at the Melrose Clinic. We really brought her back. I mean, seriously, she was in bad shape. And we found Edwina in Texas, a trip I made with Zeke, and we were able to give her flowers, and she got to hug Zeke. And this 78-year-old lady is wearing a Mickey Gilley T-shirt, and she's hilarious. No. And she's like, "Oh, my little girl, when I saw you before, you weren't looking so good, but now, oh, my gosh, you're beautiful." And at that moment,
that's a great story.
Zeke just did her little headbutt with her. So I feel this was a highlight of our 2013 was we got to thank the woman who saved Zeke so Zeke can help others. So am I making you cry yet?
Yeah, that'll work. That will work.
All right, well, let's get back to this book. You have some really fun facts, and one of them, you got me. You talk about when a dog is really, really wet and they do that shake. Talk about how fast they get rid of that water beads.
Even more interestingly is, who on earth did this research?
How do
you count how fast it takes for a dog to get trained? I don't know what the criteria were, but, the nice thing about working with National Geographic is they've got access to, the best research, the best photography, the best layout staff in the world. And, I don't question them when they say that there's a fact. So basically they asked if this was plausible, and it certainly is. I'll take their word for it. But what is said is a dog can actually shake itself dry in under 40 seconds. But of course, it depends on the dog.
Under 40 seconds
but the one
or less
that
than
did
a
that,
second? Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I think you said 40 seconds. Some can in a second. Some can take up to 40 seconds. I don't know if we had all those details in with that tip, but they can do it very quickly, and it's actually pretty amazing. But the point of the shaking wasn't that dogs do it to dry themselves. They do it to shake off stress, excitement, anxiety, being geared up. I wish people could do that well. I think it would help us all if we could do that, shake off some of the daily stress. But that's what dogs shake for. And it's kind of neat. They can just really reset themselves. And that would be a really handy thing to be able to do. And the other thing is we like to greet our dogs. We know, you really get into the tail, and there's this great image that National Geographic provided when you get into the book early on. It's a 2-page spread. It's across both pages. What is a dog? And it just goes through each part, the tail, the muzzle, the ears, the eyes, the whole thing. But what was also very good to know is when you go up to a dog you haven't met and you see the dog raise one of their front paws, please tell us, good Dr. Gary Weitzman, what's the best doggy etiquette for us to do when that dog does that?
Yeah, don't grab the paw. How's that for just a simple answer? Yeah, dogs do that. We can train them to do it. And pretty much we all do train our dogs to give their paw. And they understand it. They understand that it's just a signal to get a treat or to get affection from us. But really what they're doing naturally is submitting. And that's what the raising of the paw is. It's almost like, what did we write in the book? That it's almost like a royal gesture that you're raising your paw to the king or something like that. But it really is a gesture of submission. And when a dog does that, they're making themselves vulnerable because they can't run away that easily. They can't go on the offensive. So we should recognize it for that. So please, please, please do not grab that dog's paw. That's not what he's asking for. He's just asking for your attention and affection.
And before we go, we do have to answer a question because this was in the intro. What the heck are gossip hounds? And I know what I'm talking about, but, when we go on a walk with our dog and it's sniff, 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 we're like, come on, pee, pee. And you're like, no, they're working, aren't they?
They're working, they're working. They've got tons of scent receptors in their noses, in the back of their mouths, tons of storage capacity for smell in their brains, and they are working. They're picking up the entire history of the universe on that walk, and it's absolutely, positively unnatural for them not to do that. And if you ask your dog not to sniff when he or she is going for a walk, you're really setting yourself up for anxiety with that animal. So by all means, prepare yourself. If you're going for a walk to go to the bathroom, plan on 10 minutes. It's not going to kill you.
No, and I love it. You said the information they get is like reading a Facebook news feed. So there you go. Yes. Let's look at from the dog standpoint. They don't have thumbs to text, but boy, that nose knows, doesn't it?
vet nose does. Absolutely. It knows a lot.
Well, I'm delighted that we have had Dr. Gary Weitzman. He is the veterinarian of the San Diego Humane Society. I live here in the San Diego area. I got to tell you, he has made the San Diego Humane Society just become a major, great entity in our county and beyond. I've worked with Dr. Gary. I got to judge a pit bull beauty contest with him to help raise adoptions. He's very
among
creative.
Other things, right?
Yeah, he's very creative, but he gets things done. He's got a lot of great programs going on over there. I hope you would go to sdhumane.org after the show. I also urge you to get your paws on How to Speak Dog, a guide to decoding dog language, produced by National Geographic and authored by the good Dr. Gary Weitzman and Aileen Alexander Newman. We're giving away 2 of them to the 25th and 100th person who emails Arden at 4Legged Life with the code word Speak Dog, and he will autograph them for you. Maybe his dogs Betty and Jake will also put their paw prints.
They will get paw prints, sure.
All right, that's true. And then listen to him on the Animal House, and just go to animalhouse.org. And I have heard his show. It's great. He's been doing it for 5 years. He answers a lot of great questions, has a lot of common sense, and he's a veterinarian. So, Dr. Gary, is there anything else you'd like to add before we bid adieu?
No, just support your local shelters and go visit the central characters for the book. They need some homes and definitely need some attention.
Well, you did a great
Arden,
job.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, dear friend. Really loved it.
All right. Well, you did well, man. You did well. And at this time, I also want to thank my producer, Mark Winter. He makes this show happen each and every week. Pet Life Radio is the place to tune in when you want to learn about dogs, cats, horses, and others. We have more than 6 million listeners on our network. So come on, let's pump it up. Let's get to 10 million. So go to PetLifeRadio.com for more details. And I'm so glad that Dr. Gary had been on our show. This man rocks. He really does. He is not just talking it. He's really making a difference. So I am both honored and delighted that he could be a guest on our show. So
Arden,
until next time. I'm going to make you blush on the air.
Yes.
I can do that. So until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do, and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.